Are we live? I think we are. Hey guys, it's Bryony or Brie, whatever you want to call me, as always. So welcome to today's live event. I haven't done one of these in a long time. So if you're not familiar with them, all you got to do is type a comment either in the comment section, which will be somewhere around here, and I will answer it, or you can go onto Instagram. Probably not Facebook. I'll check that one. I don't usually check that one in these events. But Instagram and YouTube, I certainly will. If you can't comment, it's probably because you aren't signed into a YouTube account, so just bear that in mind. But hello, as always, when we do these videos, or rather, I like to get you guys to say where you're from so we can see where everyone is, because it's always nice to know about that. So anyway, I can see lots of comments popping up here, so please forgive me while I scroll back through some of them. So... Hi Brie, do you recommend using a menstrual cup from your first period? If so, what's the best one? Personally, I think this is really like personal preference and what you want to do. You certainly can use them from your first period. I didn't know about menstrual cups when I had my first period, but I used a tampon on my first period, although I did misjudge how heavy I was going to be. That's one thing to bear in mind. You won't know how heavy you are, so I'd give it like a day or two before you actually try using a menstrual cup, just so you have some idea of how heavy your flow is, because it's Mother Nature's so unpredictable. I mean, I was very heavy my first period, and I leaked straight through my tampon because I could only use light tampons at that point. But anyway, so if you're going to use a menstrual cup for your first period, oh, please excuse my emails coming in. If you're going to use a menstrual cup from your first period, then I would recommend trying the small, small classic Maluna. It's a very easy cup to get to grips with, to learn to insert and remove. It might not be big enough if you have a heavy flow for a long time, but it will certainly get you used to a menstrual cup, and it's definitely the best introductory cup, so I would recommend that one. Lots of people saying hi. Let me have a look. What are some better cloth pads for hotter climates in Australia? And do you think that cloth pads would be feasible at a boarding school with its own washing machines? I think it definitely should be, because you can wash them in like a mesh laundry bag with your other clothes. As long as you don't use fabric softener with your other clothes, it's okay. You can use white vinegar as an alternative. It'll have a vinegary smell when it comes out of the washing machine, but it will be odorless when they dry. And that kind of softens the water, and it means the pads can soften up. And if you have a tumble dryer, actually, that will solve that problem anyway, because you can just stick them in there and they'll be nice and soft. So yeah, you can wash them like that. You just have to make sure you do a thorough rinse beforehand, before washing them, but it should definitely be possible. And for hotter climates, I don't think there's so much a brand that's better, but fabrics that are really good for hot climates are breathable cottons. Cotton is definitely the best one, I think. Bamboo velour can be okay, depending on personal preference. If it's not got PUL in it, it's usually fine because it's a natural fibre, so it's really breathable. But certainly cotton is definitely, I think, the most breathable top fabric for that. Suede cloth and Pro-Cool wicking jersey are another two to consider, but they're sort of harder to find, so you have to kind of find some sellers that will do that. Okay, hi from the US. Lots of people in the USA, someone else from London. Hello from Scotland. Wow. I don't know why I'm saying wow, it's just up north, but yeah, it's so nice to see where everyone is from. Neve and Ireland, Plymouth. Let me see. Somebody asking, what pain meds do you think are good for really bad cramps? Well, first of all, if your cramps are really severe, I would definitely go and see a doctor, because there could be an underlying cause for that. Things like endometriosis and PCOS are two conditions that can affect your female reproductive organs, and they can cause a lot of pain, so you want to get checked out. They might try to put you on the pill. I don't really want to go against a doctor's recommendation, but personally, that's not something I would choose to do without getting investigated first to see if there actually is a cause, because your bodies are still developing, and I don't think it's a good idea to kind of add any other hormones into the mix there. But if you are currently in pain, and obviously it's going to take time to get there, the best, I find ibuprofen is the most effective. It's also an anti-inflammatory, and if it's really, really bad, you can take cocodamol as well, but you mustn't take that for more than 3 days, and you've got to be very careful when you're taking that stuff because codeine can be very addictive. So that's not a long-term solution. It's just if you have a really bad bout and you are in a lot of pain, then that's a short-term solution, but definitely try and go and see a doctor if you've got a lot of pain. Okie dokie. What do you want to do when you want to start using a menstrual cup but you're kind of scared? As I said earlier on in the video, I would definitely recommend starting off with the small classic Maluna. It's not a very expensive cup. It's actually one of the cheaper ones, or one of the cheapest, I think, actually. And it's easy to kind of get to grips with. It's small. It's sort of non-invasive. It's the one that got me used to using menstrual cups. So, and I'd had a very bad experience with it beforehand with my Moon cup, so definitely I would say go for that one because it's a nice gentle introductory cup. If you're really worried as well, you can go for the soft version, but bear in mind that will be a little more difficult to get open inside of you, and if you have very strong pelvic floor muscles or you're doing an activity, it might be more prone to leaking than the classic. Okay, what would you recommend would you recommend a cup for a 14-year-old who only has had 4 periods for a camping trip? There'll be about one break every 6 to 7 hours, and I will be on my 1.5 second day of a period. If you are going to be going on it next month and won't have any time to practice using a menstrual cup beforehand, then probably not, because it does take some practice to kind of get used to using a menstrual cup. But once you have got the hang of it, then yeah, you can definitely do that. And like I said, age doesn't matter, how many periods you've had doesn't matter. I got my period at 14 as well. I used menstrual cups when I was 15. So it's just how comfortable you are with using them with your body, and if you like the idea of them, I think then you'll be absolutely fine. So hello to Natalia. Hi. I think I'm just getting into the comments when I was starting to come on now, so let me see. Lots of hi Breeze, hi Bree, hi Bryony. Hello everyone, let me scroll through. Right, Georgia, as in the country, South Africa, West Yorkshire, Aberdeen, from the US, Toronto, Ontario, England, Iceland, wow. Oh no, Ireland. That was Iceland. Maybe somebody's in Iceland, who knows. Greece, California, Michigan, Austria, UK, USA, South Carolina, Texas, Tel Aviv, Sweden, USA, Argentina, Florida, Washington State, Utah, USA. Wow, there's a lot of you guys here. Actually, I wonder how many are watching. Let me have a look. Hopefully this doesn't start making lots of loud noises. Let's cut that off. Okay, how many have we got? Is it going to tell me? No. 186, wow. Okay, anyway, let's get back to answering your questions. So, West Yorkshire, South Africa, California, Georgia, USA, Canada, Georgia, USA. A lot of you from Georgia. More from Canada, more from the US, South Carolina. Someone's very nicely saying thank you, you're very welcome. Trinidad and Tobago, UK, Idaho, Johannesburg, South Africa. Oh my gosh, Amsterdam. Somebody asked me, will I ever go back on AYME? That's a very good question, actually, very interesting. So those who don't know, AYME is a support group for people who have been diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome or ME, myalgic encephalomyelitis. And, oh, phone's going off all the noises in this video, apparently. I used to belong to it. I don't got it anymore, and actually today, I finally got my email with my diagnosis, and I have a diagnosis for my condition. I'm not going to talk about it in this video, but I promise I will do a vlog on my other channel talking specifically about it, because I'm like so relieved now. But I don't have ME officially. Well, I guess ME isn't a diagnosis, like as in a test can be done. It's just given to you and they can't find a diagnosis. But anyway, I actually do have a diagnosis now officially, which is, it's both like sad and exciting at the same time. It's very weird. I think when you've been sick for so long, you just want a diagnosis so you can explain why you're struggling with so many things. So yeah, but anyway, So no, I probably won't be on AYME. And actually, I got an email today to say that they're moving to be integrated with someone else next month, I think. So it won't be there anymore, which is kind of sad. But yeah, anyway. Hi from Texas. Oh, someone's with a question. I have a menstrual cup, but I'm afraid to use it. Any tips for getting over my fear? You're going to have to go into a bit more detail about any specific things you're scared of. Basically, if you are worried about using menstrual cup the first time, I always recommend you trying it out after you just had a long soak in the bath, because your muscles are all warm and relaxed, and using a soft menstrual cup will also make it a lot easier because they're really easy to hold and insert, and using a little bit of lubricant can also make the process a lot easier too, but don't smear the whole cup in it, just smear like around the entrance and across the top. So, or on the tip of the folded cup, I should say. Someone from Wales, Washington, Canada, Las Vegas, New Hampshire, USA, Atlanta, Georgia, New York. Wow. Would you consider traveling in Europe to make talks about your business and experiences? First of all, I think I'd need to do a lot more in the UK, and I am trying to do that. That is one of my goals, especially to kind of spread awareness in general about the products. I have a few like collaborations coming up in the next month or so with companies, so we can talk about them and answer more of your guys' questions and stuff, which will be really exciting. I can't give any more details now. But yeah, I would love to spread the word about it more and do more. And I'm also very keen to sort of do more charity work and sort of focus more on how to help out back home and away and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, definitely. It's definitely something I would consider doing, but I don't think it's something that's going to happen in the very near future. Right, someone else. Last month my period was incredibly light, but this period was incredibly heavy. Is this normal? If you have just started your period within the last 2 years, that is very normal. If it's something that your period has been very stable for a few years and has suddenly done this, then it could indicate that there's a problem. Have a look and see how your next couple of periods do, and if it stays that way, then I'd recommend going to see a doctor. Okay, I mean, it's kind of hard because I forget that a lot of you guys who watch this aren't necessarily in the UK, whereas, you know, in the UK it's free to go and see a GP, and abroad, I guess, you know, especially in America, you have to pay for that stuff, I think. So it's easy for me to kind of say go and see a doctor because here it's free. But those of you, so I try to answer for those of you as well who that might not be such an easy option for. So, you know, bear with me. Okay, what are some pressure points that we can use to help with cramps? I was told a really good one the other day. I can't really show in this video, but there's one on your leg. Let's see if I can do this. Let me get my picture up. Okay, so lovely leg here. If you find up your ankle, there should be like a dip somewhere around here, and it should kind of hurt when you press into it. I kind of struggle to find it on me. It's usually like about about 3 fingers up-ish, and there's a pressure point, and you can kind of feel like a little dip in there. If you can find where it hurts and hold it there, that's a really good acupressure point for cramps. Also between your thumb and your finger, you push in around here. Again, should be sore, and you hold it there. That can help. There's many points. Actually, I'd recommend looking at like an acupressure map for the best ones, but the one in the leg is the one that my physiotherapist told me about, and I find that quite useful actually. Okay, hi from Kansas. Right, hi Bryony, does your panty liner stain after the first time? Because mine that I bought from you did, and I've sent you an email with no response. Please help. It's probably being answered by one of my lovely admins, Bramilla, or it might have gone lost in another one, then I'm sure they will get back to you. But if you are using the Terry panty liners, then you need to soak them beforehand in some OxyClean or with some stain remover on, and that should get rid of them. If it's got a stain now, use some stain remover, let it sit for a few hours before scrubbing it, and then use stain remover again, put it in the wash, and it should come out absolutely fine. When your cup is leaking, how do you know if your cup is too small or too big? Well, first of all, if your cup's leaking, it doesn't necessarily mean that the cup is too small or too big for you. It might be that you just haven't inserted it correctly. If it's leaking a tiny little bit, as in you're getting a few tiny spots in your underwear, that is quite normal because there will be blood around the side of the cup and that just sort of comes down. If it's leaking a lot, then that could indicate that the cup is a bit too big or a bit too small. The best way to sort of tell with that is kind of to evaluate, do you do a lot of exercise? Are your muscles going to be particularly strong? If they are, that might actually be because the cup is too soft and you need a firmer cup. Generally speaking, the size I don't think really makes much of a difference. It can in some cases. If your cup is slipping down, that would indicate that it's too small. But too big, you should, when you insert your finger to feel around the cup, you would feel that it's not opening properly, but that's quite rare. And usually just because of tight muscles, you just want a firmer cup. So it wouldn't necessarily be because the cup is too small or too big, but it's more likely to be because the cup is too soft or too firm. Actually, not too firm, too soft. Okay. Excuse me. Hi from Germany. Hi from Alaska. Just trying to find, oh, I mustn't forget about Instagram. Oh my god, ow. Oh, I just chopped that on my ankle. Nightmare. Let's have a look at Instagram and see if anyone's posted on there. There's quite a few questions on here, but I always forget about Instagram, so. Oh yeah, I've got 21 messages, questions even. Right. Excuse me, I should have got a drink. Right, this is a good question. Can stress make your period last longer, or do I need to see a doctor? Stress can definitely affect your period. Sorry, you might hear the train going past. Can definitely affect your period. So if you're going through a particularly stressful time right now, what I would recommend is that you, for the moment, put up with it. I know it's not fun to have longer periods. And then when that stressful period is over, see if your period is still longer after a month or two. And then maybe go see your doctor. If you just genuinely have a stressful job and it's not something that's going to be ending soon, then it might be worth going to see your doctor, or considering things like meditation, yoga, other things that can sort of calm the stress, and see if that makes a difference before going to see a doctor. But yeah, certainly stress can have a big impact on your period. It can make it heavier, more painful, longer, all that kind of stuff. What are some all-natural lubricants? Okay, so the most natural one that I know of, well, there's two really natural ones, aloe vera and coconut oil. Coconut oil is okay to use with silicone menstrual cups. You just can't use it with condoms. There's a bit of confusion there because, you know, you can't use it with condoms, but you can use it with silicone menstrual cups. It's okay. Add pure aloe vera gel as well, like 100%, or if it's got xanthan gum, it's also okay. It's also fine, and that's a good lubricant to use as well. I used to use that sometimes. So those are some natural lubricants. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live and why? Oh, that's a good question. I really don't know, because I don't think there's any like one place I particularly want to live in. I really like Dubai. I don't know why. I like Dubai. I don't know why it rhymes. I don't know. I just really enjoy it when I'm there. I'm not sure I'd want to live there though. I do like my British heritage, my British culture. I just don't like the weather a lot of the time here. I did try and put the lights on at least a bit for this video and sitting by the window. I think it would still be in the UK, but I would consider moving more into the countryside to be away from the pollution and stuff. If I was to move to another country, I don't know, maybe France or somewhere, because French is my second language, so I can't speak it very well, but little bits of it. Okay, right. Back to YouTube questions. Having to switch back and forth. Hi from Canada, Lithuania. Okay. South Africa. Oklahoma, Holland. Wow, there's loads of you from here. Right, hi from the United States. I'm curious what you'd recommend as a cup that's shorter than the Diva cup, but comparable in terms of firmness, or maybe a bit firmer. So shorter than the Diva cup, but firmer. Right, there's quite a few cups that sort of fit that status. I definitely would recommend the Lena cup, the one that I helped design, and I'm not just saying that because I helped design it, but it is a firm cup. The Lady cup is also quite firm. It has a lower capacity. The Yuki cup is another firm cup as well that's shorter. And there's probably another one I can think of that's shorter. I would say actually the Lunette's pretty comparable to the Diva cup in firmness. Maybe a little bit softer, but certainly it's shorter, and I think you'd be fine with that if you could use the Diva cup. Okay. Lots of people, right? Any places to buy really good fabrics to make your own cloth pads? The only place I know of is for those who are in the UK. I really should put another top on. Is a place called Plush Addict. It's an online store where you can buy like lots of materials that are really absorbent for the inner cores. The cotton tops you can get from like any fabric store, and in the US I think you have like at Target or Hobby Lobby, places like that. I don't know, I haven't been in a long time, where the stores actually have just rolls of cotton that you can get pretty cheap for. That cotton is fine for the top. Polar fleece will work perfectly well for the back. It's got another name for it as well, which is flown out of my head now, but it should be called polar fleece. And you can use that to make pads, and then you can use flannel for the inner core, terry toweling, those sorts of things you will find. So you can get the materials to make cloth pads from most like fabric stores, but if you want to get specific ones, then in the UK, Plush Addict is the best for that. The other place in the US is called Wazoodle, which sells like the inner core stuff, so you can look at those places. Hi from South Africa, Switzerland, all this stuff. Wow. Any tips on nausea during my period? The way I fight nausea is to basically continually eat small little things throughout the day. So I might have breadsticks or cereal, dry cereal that I pick at. That helps me kind of keep my stomach full if I'm, especially if I have to take medicine. Really helps. Also, the natural nausea remedy Travella is really good, and you can try travel sickness bracelets, which have like pressure points on them. Personally, I don't like those wristbands. They never do anything for me, but some people find they're really, really helpful. So that would be one of my tips. From Oklahoma, from Lithuania. I have a really narrow crotch area and I'm struggling to find a pad seller that I like their cloth pads. I know you have the same issues. What's your favorite seller for narrow pads? Ooh. Well, I'm interesting because I actually don't like my pads to be too narrow. I need them to be a little bit wider and almost bunch up a bit so that they kind of create a valley between them which the blood can kind of flow into. So it doesn't bother me to have them a bit wider, but oh, this is hard because there was a maker who I knew that did really narrow ones. I don't think she makes them anymore. Yeah, that, who does really, I know that Novel Red did a narrow version, but I haven't seen her site for a year or two now, but her pads were good quality, so have a look at Novel Red. She might be able to do a custom style. If you go onto Etsy, a lot of the cloth pad makers will do custom pads, and you can specify that you'd like a narrow pad. Essence of Eve was also quite good for narrow pads, but if you're going to get Essence of Eve, definitely, if they're still around, definitely get them with PUL in them, because otherwise you will leak through the back, as I've sadly learnt. Okay. Somebody from Newcastle, I think. I recognise the word Kenny. From Puerto Rico. What cut would you recommend that's high capacity and not too wide? I have a high cervix, so length isn't an issue. Right. I have actually been trying out a cup called the Casco cup, which you will see a review on soon. I've had a problem with it though because it's too long for me, but it has a good capacity, and it's a long cup. It's got like a thin, short stem, but the cup itself is quite long, so it doesn't work for short cervixes. But as you have a high cervix, that might work quite well for you. So have a look into that one. The Maloon, no, the extra large is quite wide. What's another one? The Lunette Model 2 might be all right for you. That's not ridiculously wide either, and it has a high capacity. The organic cup also springs to mind, although I haven't actually tried that one out myself. I know a lot of people like that, and the Cup Lee cup is also quite a good one for capacity, so I would have a look in at them. A lot of people have been asking me if I'm dating anyone at the moment. I'm not actually dating anyone right now. To be honest, I'm so like, I've got so many things in my mind with work, with my health, and with my dancing that I don't know where I'd even have time to date anyone right now. So yeah, but no, it's not something I'm doing, and it's not something I'm like focusing on at all right now. So no, I'm not dating anyone. Who is your favorite YouTuber? This question, every time someone asks me this question at a live event, I swear it's changed. I go back and forth so much because I tend to like one YouTuber for a while, like really follow them religiously, and then I go off them and follow someone else or something. But I think the YouTuber who I have followed for the longest period of time and haven't completely like been turned off their videos or anything. Not that I don't follow them religiously, but I do keep an interest in them, and that is Jess Fam. Jessica, who has, I think she's got 7 kids now, two of her partners. But I just find their videos really interesting to watch, and she's always, you know, her life's always changing, which is, it's kind of crazy to watch that. But I get like a real human vibe from her, if that makes sense. Very down to earth. A lot of YouTubers kind of lose that, I think, as they get bigger, so it's quite nice to see. But yeah, I think she's the one I followed for the longest and still watch. So yeah, I'd have to say she was probably one of my favorite YouTubers. Right. Does having sex affect your periods? Now it depends in what way. I can't say from personal experience, to be honest, but having sex can definitely affect your cramps. Some people find that they get better after having sex because the muscles are all relaxed from the orgasm. Some people find they get worse after having sex. Sometimes your period could start a day or two earlier. If you have sex, particularly if it's quite vigorous, that's not really the right word, but you know what I mean. If it's quite rough sex, it can sometimes start a day or two earlier. It could cause your period to be prolonged a little bit. So yeah, it can definitely if but it depends from person to person. Do you have any refugees right now? I do, but they are actually leaving in 2 days' time on Thursday, so not for much longer. I've got a little, it's still the same little baby boy Jack. He's 6 months old now, so yeah. Please excuse my eyes as well. I'm really tired. I've still got this blinking problem. I've got a bruise under the side that you can't quite see. Right. What is the firmness of the small Lena? The small Lena is very firm, I find. It's one of the firmer cups that I have. So if you want a cup especially for like dancing or any sort of sporting activity, it's a great cup for that. And those of you with strong pelvic floor muscles should definitely consider it. Okay, I'm just going to scroll along a bit more. Let's have a look. How do you tell if you have a low cervix or a high cervix? Very easy. Basically, you have to insert your finger and see how far you can get in before you can feel your cervix. It'll feel like a marble almost. Get it into here, you've got a very low cervix. If you get into here, you have a low cervix. Here, you have a medium cervix. If you can't feel it, you have a high cervix. Somebody from Italy. Let's have a, right, I think there's quite a few comments have been placed since the time that I can see on here, so I'm just going to scroll down through quite a few of them. West Midlands, Wolverhampton, South East London, was so many people from here. Germany, Leeds, Texas, New Zealand, Lithuania, Alaska, the Netherlands, Las Vegas, right, so many, Gloucestershire, North Carolina. Did you do ISTD ballet grades? I did actually, but we've done a mixture in my dance school. We do RID and ISTD, so. Right. How do you know when you will start your period? Starting your first period, you don't know, unfortunately. It just sort of springs on you. Mother Nature hasn't learnt to text yet, but, or actually ever. After that, sometimes you can recognize that you get cramping, or you know, tracking it is the best way to kind of learn roughly what your cycle times are. And then you'll have some idea of when it's coming. For me, I can always tell because I get like this cramping sensation in my stomach and in my back sometimes. So yeah. Right. England, Canada, Suffolk, all sorts of places. Right, let me have a look. Let's see. Right. Okay, I'm going to kind of work my way up a bit now because I've got right down to the bottom, I think. Right. Oh, have I? Yes. Okie dokie. How did you tell your mum you got your period? Well, my mum especially has always been very open with me, so it wasn't difficult for me to tell her that I had started my period. And I started my period like as I was walking out the door to go on a camping trip, and I literally looked down at my underwear and like there was this brown stuff all over my panty liner. So I ran upstairs and I had this little packet, and I still actually to this day have the exact same pack of pads that I had on that day. And I took a pad out and I was like, oh, I've had this since year 6 and I'm now in year 10 and I can finally use this pad. They don't even make the packaging the same anymore, or by the time I bought this particular pad, but I was just like, oh my God. And I put it on and I was like, Mum, calling down the stairs, I've started my period. I was so excited about it. It wasn't like a scary thing for me, but it's completely normal. So, you know, it's nothing to be ashamed of. But yeah, no, that's how I told her basically. How do you ensure proper placement for a leak-free cup? For me, the best way I find is to insert the cup, and if you have the stem attached, pull that so it's sort of like directly in the middle. If you don't, then you can actually kind of push up on the base of the cup, push it in a bit, and sort of use it to steer the cup into the right place. So that makes any sense? Especially with the Lenna cup, you can do this, I find. As long as your cup isn't tilted at an angle like this or like this and it's pretty straight, you should be fine. Although bear in mind like how you're sitting, or like your cup being straight will probably be at this angle as opposed to being like this. But it's all personal preference because some people have tilted uteruses. So it really depends on your body. You just kind of have to get used to what works for you, what doesn't. Any tips on inserting a cup? I can't seem to get it in properly. I always recommend using lubricant, especially if you're struggling. Like I said earlier on in the video, don't like smother the whole cup in lubricant. You want to just like punch it down if you're using the punch down folder, whatever folder you're using. Put it on the tip, put it on the base, and actually sometimes put some like around your vulva, and that can help with the insertion. You want to be able to still grip the cup pretty easily though. If you smother it all over, you're just going to have slippy fingers. So you have to be careful where you put it. And do it after you've had a bath because you're nice and relaxed, or even in the bath squatting, but don't be in the water. So you know, it's just what is going to work for you, but that's the best way to be relaxed, is to get it in the first time. Someone from the Czech Republic. Oh, I've just jumped a few questions. Let me go back a bit. I'm wondering, I might have another look at Instagram actually. Here's an interesting one. What do you know about endometriosis and really bad cramps? So, well, aside from the fact that basically, for those of you who don't know, endometriosis is a condition where the lining of your uterus, which is called your endometrium, starts growing in other places, such as on the fallopian tube, the ovaries, outside your uterus, and your bladder. It can even, in some extreme cases, pass into your bowels and into your lungs. And they fill with blood every month, but there's nowhere for it to go. There's a squirrel staring at me. There's nowhere for it to go, so that causes the pain. As for managing it, really you have to talk to your doctor because you need strong pain meds to manage that stuff, or they might put you on the pill if you're not trying to conceive. But yeah, it can definitely cause very bad menstrual cramps. Okay. How to remove the odor of my cup. Seems that my period blood has a strong smell, and on the 3rd day my cup's already smelling. I find this happens to me if I leave my cup in for a bit too long, especially like when it comes to over 12 hours or something, because it is safe to leave your cup in for more than that if you don't have a heavy period, but then the blood hasn't had an oxygen supply, so it does smell quite bad. This happened to me with my lunette cup, and basically what did I do? I boiled it, And I also sterilise it and then milk from the sterilising tablet. But boiling it is definitely, I think, the most effective way to get rid of the smell. But what I would do is, as I boil it first, and then put it into a Milton sterilising solution, either with the tablet or the liquid, something like that. They're the best ways to sterilise it. You can also sterilise it using hydrogen peroxide. And sometimes the Lunette wipes as well for menstrual cups can also help get it off, and they can get staining off too, which is quite good. Okie dokie. Let's have a look at this one. Best tips for PMS cravings or being emotional before or during your period. Now, this is quite a difficult question for me to answer. I get it quite a lot, and somebody asked me to do a video on this specifically as well. I personally don't get emotional or experience any sort of emotional upheaval or even change really just before I get my period. So it's kind of hard for me to answer that question because I don't have those sorts of things. The only thing I do crave is sugar. I always crave chocolate and cake and stuff, which is quite normal for my period. The way I do that is basically to try and compromise with having some chocolate but having an apple or something healthy with it. But it is really normal. Unfortunately, I can't talk much for PMS because I don't experience it. Favorite natural deodorant? I use the deodorant by Forever Aloe Vera, I think it's called. Forever, yeah. And I've used the salt stick as well, but it's not my favorite. I definitely prefer the aloe one. It seems to do the job better. Right, let's have another look through. I'm afraid, if I haven't mentioned this before, I can't ever get through all the questions because there are just so many. I'm just trying to see if I can pick out any of the ones I think I could answer quite well. How do you know when a cup needs to be replaced because it's too old? Manufacturers say 5 to 10 years. Really, it's if the cup starts to, for example, have a crack, if it starts to leak, if it's really, really stained. Staining itself isn't a problem, but if you find that it's very stained and you don't want it to use anymore, then that's time you can change it. If the stem has started to come off as well, that's the time to change it. But really and truly, the 5 to 10 years is a good time scale, and they should mostly last for 10 years. It's more if something happens to it, there's a small crack or whatever, because you do fold them and bend them into all sorts of shapes. That's why they don't last as long. But they, when it starts to not work as efficiently anymore, that's when you need to replace it really. Hello from California. Are you planning on restocking your website soon? Also, do you plan on carrying new / more products? We are stocking our website very soon. If you keep an eye out this week, Friday's video, I'm hoping should be very exciting, and we will announce a new product that we're selling. It might not be up until Monday though. I've got to wait to hear from my warehouse as to whether they've got the new products or not. But yeah, we are restocking very soon. So bear with us while we do that. It's taken a long time to get this new product developed, so I'm really excited for it, and I'm hoping it's going to do well. Let's see. Okie dokie. Right. Wait, what time is it? Oh, it's 40 plus. I think I'm probably going to do for another 10 minutes, and then I will say goodbye to you guys. My period lasts 8 days every time, but my cycle lengths vary. I just started my period back in October. Should I be worried? If you just started your periods from your first period in October, don't worry about it. It takes ages sometimes for your periods to sort of settle down, at least 2 years. So don't worry about it just now. My first period was 8 days long as well. What did you take for GCSEs if you did them? Now, I was the last year in the UK that did module GCSEs. So we did them across 2 years, and we had 3 exams that we had to take, or 3 pieces of course that we had to do. And I took child development, business studies, and music as my 3 choices of GCSEs, and as well as maths, English, science, all the kind of compulsory ones. I took the first 2 papers of pretty much all of these GCSEs. I never took the third. So technically speaking, I don't have any full GCSEs. The papers I did take, I got A's and B's on though. So I probably would have got A's and B's overall if I'd been able to finish my papers. And if I hadn't been sick, I probably would have got more A's and A stars actually. But yeah, so those are the ones I took. I dropped music after the first 2 terms, I think, or the first year of being in year 10. Year 11, I certainly didn't do it because I couldn't keep up and I was too sick. But yeah, those were the GCSEs I was taking before I didn't manage to finish them. So yeah. Was it difficult to go vegan? I want to try to go vegetarian, but I'm struggling. How did you transition? For me, I did it very weirdly because I was because I watched the video, what's it called, Forks Over Knives or Forks Before Knives before, and I'd been vegan for a month and like given up on it, and then I watched it again and it really motivated me. And because I had some idea of what I was doing already, I just sort of decided actually I don't really want to eat this stuff anymore. And I literally from there, I had milk in the fridge, I had meat, and I thought, oh, I'll just finish that up and I won't buy it again. I actually ended up never eating the meat because I wasn't even like inclined to cook it at that point. So yeah, first of all, I'd recommend if you are someone that likes cereal or finds that milk is an important part of your life, or dairy, try and find an alternative milk that you like. For me, I like almond milk best. So you find an almond milk you like. With almond milk, there's many, many types of milk, nut milks and other milks, rice, hemp, loads of them. Find one that you like. And then find a butter alternative. I use the Vitalife one for, it's not like tasty to smear on toast. The thing I do miss is toast and butter. That's one of my big things I miss. But for using recipes like mashed potatoes and stuff, it looks just like butter, so it works really well. Once you found those alternatives, it's really easy to make other alternatives. And I find that the YouTube channel The Happy Pear are really good. Pear spelled as in like the fruit as opposed to pair as in couple. They're really good. They have really good, really quick, easy recipes. They gave me some inspiration for some recipes to do that were vegan, and I usually adjust them because I'm quite good at cooking, so it's not a problem for me. And that's how I went vegan, and I don't find it particularly difficult now. It's more difficult when you go out than anything else. Okay. What are your thoughts on the fertility awareness method? Would you ever use the Daisy or Lady Comp device? For me right now, I don't need contraception, so it's not something I kind of am worried about, and I don't need to know exactly the day my period's coming. So for me, it's a lot of effort to put in for something I don't really need right now. But in the future, yeah, it's definitely something I would consider. Right. Let's go back to this. Last few questions, I think. Is business studies a good GCSE to take? To me personally, I got told off for knowing too much because by this point, when did I do GCSE? I must have been 14, 15? 14 when I selected it. When I was 13, I actually had designed a product and I'd gone and I pitched it to a company already. So a lot of the stuff that we were learning was things I already knew because I'd always wanted to run a business. I always knew it's what I wanted to do. Sorry, the light's getting really bad. I've just noticed maybe it's better off coming this way. Always he's awake. So for me, I really enjoyed it, but you have got to want to do it to take it because otherwise it's a lot of effort for something. But I still, to this day, use certain parts of it I can remember. So I think it's definitely a good GCSE to take if it's something you want to take, certainly, yeah. Right, next few questions. Oh, somebody asked what are GCSEs. GCSEs are the first exams that we can take in the UK. So we take them first when you're like 15, 16. And then then you go to college when you're 17, 18. And that's when you take your A levels. And then after that, you go to university. College and university are different things in the UK. I think in the US, you call college what you call university. It's not the same thing here. And then you can choose to go off to university and study for a degree. That's the difference, basically. Okie dokie. Let's find a good one. Scroll through all these comments. How do you know if you've hit your urethra when taking tampons or menstrual cups out? It will hurt, basically. Your urethra isn't attached to your vagina or your vaginal opening. It's just in front of it. So the only way you'd hurt it is if you were pulling a tampon out forwards and it hit it, or a cup out and it opened up and it strummed it, and that would be very painful. That's how you know you've hit your urethra, or it could also be a clitoris, actually, because both can be really painful. But yeah, actually to hit it is quite a hard feat, trust me. Also, you might find it painful to pee. Okay. Is it normal to feel dizzy and faint when you're on your period? Last year this happened to me and I nearly passed out. Should I be worrying about it? If it hasn't happened again, it could just be a one-off. You might have had a cyst or something that made it particularly painful. I have actually gone dizzy and been sick and passed out when I had my period, in like the early days of my period. So yeah, like sorry. It can happen and it's not fun, but if it's a recurring thing, then you definitely want to get checked out for it, because that can be a sign of endometriosis. Right. Whoa, jumping comments. Do you drink caffeine, and if you do, how does it affect your period? I don't actually drink caffeine at all. I don't drink things like Coke or fizzy drinks like that. I have a natural fizzy drink that I quite like, which is by Whole Earth, but doesn't contain any caffeine. And I don't drink coffee at all, so, or tea for that matter. So no, I don't have caffeine anymore, because I kind of got addicted to caffeine, and it's, for people who have chronic illnesses, it's not good to become addicted to caffeine, because that's kind of how people get so used to getting through their day that way, and depending on it, that it's really not good and it can cause a lot more problems. So that's how I gave it up, and now I don't really need it. Is college, not university, mandatory in the UK? Now, it never used to be. It used to be you just had to do your GCSEs. I'm not entirely sure on this one. I think the law keeps changing, to be honest. Used to be you had to stay in school till 17, so that would be your first year of A-levels. You have your A-levels and then your A2. I think it is now 18, although I'm not 100% sure on that. But certainly I think 1 year of college is definitely mandatory in the UK. But I'm not entirely sure if the second year is. Somebody can probably answer that who's in the school system right now. And you can do IB as well, which I think is the US version. We have a few schools over here that do that. And you don't have to take GCSEs. You can follow other syllabuses as well. That's just our main one. But I tell you, I'm going to take 2 more questions and that'll be it. Right. Which one shall we go for? Let's find one. Yeah, everyone's saying, sorry, it's back to the college one. Everyone's saying it's 18 now. It used to be 16, then it was 17, now it's 18. Does it feel the same to take a tampon out? No, it doesn't. Tampon, well, especially if it's not a dry one. A menstrual cup, I find, can be more painful if I don't fold the cup. If I fold the cup, no problem at all. A tampon, if it wasn't really soaked, like even thinking about it makes me cringe. And you had that dry, like sandpaper effect that was so horrible. Don't ever get that with a menstrual cup. Actually, I think tampons and menstrual cups feel completely different to remove. Menstrual cups are a lot more pleasant. They don't kind of grip the sides of your vaginal walls because they've not soaked up anything. They're just collecting. It certainly feels a lot better for your vagina, trust me. Last one. Let me find a good one to finish up. Let's have a look on here. Oh, let's not delete that page. Oh, hang on. I think I had one I saw earlier. One of the first questions I got, it was on Facebook. Let's check that one and see if I can answer that. It's going to take forever to open up the page. Goodness. My mum says I can't get a cup because she thinks they won't work, but I really want one. What do I do? Well, you always have the option of saving up for one yourself, and then offering to pay. The Meluna cups are great starter cups, and they're only £11.75. I think we sell them for, yeah, £11.75 on our website. And a small classic Melina is a great starter cup. So if you can save up for that, and then, you know, say you're going to pay for it, that's the best way to kind of get started. I have a video as well on my channel saying how you show this video to your parents. Like if you want to get a menstrual cup, so you can show that one. Right, where is, here it is. I was wondering how wet Thinx underwear can feel. I know you've stated that you don't like pulling it up to your body, putting up a wet pad next to your body. I wanted to Thinx underwear felt the same or more dry. So for me personally, what I usually use Thinx underwear for is if I am like going to be dancing and I put a menstrual cup in, I'll use the Thinx underwear as backup. If I'm like heavy on that day, because the Thinx are quite snug and quite tight, they hold pads in place really well. So I'll use them with a pad as well. And on my sort of lighter days, maybe like day 5 or overnight, I will just pull the underwear up and I'll leave it up. And if I wipe out the inside of the underwear, flush it away, I find it doesn't actually feel too wet. But if I'm very heavy, then yeah, it might feel quite wet and damp to pull up, which wouldn't be fun. But I certainly find it not as unpleasant as I do a pad, if that makes any sense. It's definitely more feasible. So anyway, I know I just said I'd do one more. Let me just have a check. How do you reduce the stringiness when you pull out your menstrual cup? It can make such a mess. Right, I know what this is. So like the thick mucousy blood that you get, I get this so much with my cups. What I do is I pull it out and I have a piece of toilet roll ready. I just literally take that toilet roll, grab the stringy bit and sort of pull it off the cup, pour the blood away, wipe it off the cup, put it into the sink, and then I can wipe myself down. But yeah, I have sometimes literally had the stringy bit extending right from like my vulva down into the toilet because it's just so, like the mucus is so thick. It's quite common. It can cause a mess if you pull the cup too far out. If you keep the cup kind of within the toilet bowl and just use a piece of toilet roll to wipe it off, you'll have no problem at all. And just put it, once the blood's out the cup, wipe it off, put it in the sink, and then you can wash it out and rinse it with water before inserting it and give yourself a wipe as well, and you should be absolutely fine. But no, I do know that problem. I have it quite a lot myself. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on here, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. It was helpful maybe. I do like to do these I do like to do these live events, but they are a little bit harder to organise, and so kind of they require me to have a brain at the time as well. But yeah, hopefully I should get some more done soon. I used to do when I was babysitting, but I don't babysit that often now. But anyway, so thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you on Friday. Bye-bye.